It's wonderful to meet you, Jody. Thank you for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
That's right. No, cool. It's good. I'm good. Glad to be here.
Yes,
Sounds fun.
yes, for sure.
I've done a lot of very businessy ones today, so I could do with one that's a bit more
Let's
personality,
do
to
it.
be honest.
That's it. I'm all for it. That's how I roll. So let's get in. I want to begin with something that we don't talk about a whole lot, but it really changed the trajectory of everybody, and that was COVID. 6 years ago, this pandemic was raging. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do business and life today?
I loved COVID.
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
so,
I get that a
so
lot. I get that a whole
I,
lot.
I was like, when they said that we could go back, I was like, really? Do we have to? So, um, it changed. I mean, for me, it was a really strange trajectory. I had a business then, and you know, we had to close down. But after the first lockdown, when we reopened, I had my record breaking year, and I thought I'd done it. But after lockdown three, um, yeah, there was no recovery. I mean, you can go down that route. I am slowly writing the book. I have about 3 books on the go because I find I have to do a bit and walk away.
Yeah.
And that book is called The Pandemic, The Alcoholic, The Pedophile, and the Brain Tumor. And sub post COVID, that's basically what happened in my world. I lost my entire staff team. People were arrested, the whole lot. so, 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 so I kind of, yeah, COVID was strange because, yeah, I remember when we went back and all of this stuff started to happen. Staff members were arrested. One went off to rehab. One was diagnosed with terminal cancer. I remember just standing there thinking, "Oh my god, can we just? I just want to go back home. Like I don't. I want to hide from all of this."
Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um. And eventually, it resulted in me deciding to close the door on the business, walk away, and join the corporate world, which projected me eventually into becoming a coach, specializing in midlife transition and what happens when you hit that point in your 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and it's externally you feel really you look successful, but inside you're broken.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what happened.
So let's get into exactly what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of 13-year-olds. It's career day, and one of the kids wants to know what you do for a living. How do you synthesize your day job to make sense to them?
So, um, being a life coach and having a life coach isn't so dissimilar to you having a coach for your softball, your soccer, your athletics. This is someone who stands on the sideline of your life, gives you advice on how to do it, and helps you reach the peak performance and hit the targets and cross the line the way you want to. And that's essentially what I do as a life coach. I'm someone that's in your corner that cheers for you and helps you stand in first place on that podium.
So what did you want to be when you were that age? When you were a kid, what was your dream gig?
Um, when I was a kid, I first of all thought I wanted to be a nurse, and I trained to do that. And then I realized that I wasn't very good with sick people because they tend to moan a lot. And so I left that and became a hairdresser. And I had the most amazing career in hairdressing. I have done hair at New York, London, Paris fashion weeks. I have done hair on 3 continents, 32 countries. I've had work published internationally. I had the most amazing career. My grandmother always said to me, if you find something you love, you will never do a day's work in your life. And it wasn't until I was 47 that I felt like I was going to work. And that's when I realized something had to change. In all of that career, I've always been passionate about returning the favor I was given by the people who taught me, my mentors. And so a lot of my 32 years in the industry was based in education and training people and getting them to be their best. And so the transition to coaching, almost if I look back now, it was in my destiny. I
Yeah.
would never have known it. Um, and so now, yeah, I do that bit of it. I do that bit of empowering people. And I think that's what made me love hairdressing is it was never about me. I loved how a haircut or a blow dry or just that time with a human being could make them walk taller, feel better, make them feel better about everything in life. It's a very healing thing. And in a world still where, in a world where we even more disconnected and human contacts removed, I believe it's still a very blessed profession. And there is something very healing about a haircut. I think I just 32 years, I needed to do something new and apply those skills somewhere else. And so I feel like I'm exactly where I was meant to be, but I didn't know it when I was a kid. But I
Yeah,
had to go on a journey, which is what I tell my clients. I tell all my clients, you have to go on the journey.
sure.
And every bit of that journey has value. And you'll stand there sometimes and question it. But I consistently said throughout my entire life is where you are is where you're meant to be.
Yeah,
And the trick is to understand the lesson. And the quicker you learn the lesson, the quicker you can move on.
yeah,
And in times when it was really painful, I always stood by the phrase that this too will pass. This is just a moment in time. And on the other side, you will be stronger, better, and wiser. So, yeah, so kind of life's a journey, a
yeah.
beautiful journey.
Absolutely. So clearly you're successful, you're highly driven, you're a dreamer. Take me back to your childhood. What were the foundational elements that were planted into you that has evolved into this life that you've led and finding your place right now as a coach?
Um, I don't think they were planted by choice.
Right.
I experienced a lot of childhood trauma. My parents were addicts. My father was left when I was 6 months old. He was supposed to come and collect me when I was 4 on Christmas Day. He never turned up, and I never saw him again for 17 years. And and I had a very turbulent childhood, which was odd because I was blessed to have grown up in a small village community, and there's that lovely proverb about it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I truly think that that's what saved me, because as crazy as inside the four walls was, outside the four walls was full of love and acceptance. And I'm a Gen X. I'm a latchkey kid. I got on my bike at 9 o'clock in the morning. I had a bottle of pop, as we call it, and a sandwich, and I came home at sunset. And so, you know, uh, but living with addiction as a child and in that space where people are fighting and arguing and you can't please people, I became a people pleaser. And that's part of the reason I became successful. I think people think I was driven because I wanted to be successful, but I was driven because I wanted to please people.
Yeah.
And you get very good. So the skills now, and I completely can look back on my childhood and be grateful for that experience. Someone asked me the other day, and I said, the way that you let go of the trauma is you see the value in it. And, I obviously would rather have not had the pain, but there are gifts in that pain that are very special gifts
Yeah.
that only someone that's experienced that can have. And my ability to read a room, my ability to sense emotions, my ability as a coach now. I look back and half the reason I'm such a good coach, very modest to say it, but I'm a very good coach. Half the reason is that I understand emotion and I understand the raw need of a human being in survival mode because I spent years of my life people pleasing and in survival mode. But what I also learned, I suppose, is the importance of community and connection, and that family is a multitude of things, and family is what you choose to make it.
Yeah.
And so expanding that network, um but it did drive me a lot, and I suppose it was only really at 47 I realized the negative impact that it had. And that's when I had my moment, my messy midlife moment, where I was like, okay, this has to change. And that's when I went back and revisited all of those things, but I see them as blessings now. And, Yeah, I mean, there's so much in there,
Yeah,
in that kind of, I want to upbeat thing, so I don't want to go into the trauma too much.
sure. No, no, no.
So,
I
I
get
mean,
it.
I don't mind, but I kind of feel like I want an upbeat podcast this
I do
afternoon.
too. Yeah, yeah. I don't ever get into that, but it's a backdrop, and I'm curious along those lines through that tumult you went through. Who was the person that saw you for who you were? Who was that inspirational that person in your life that saw beneath and through all of it that kind of inspired you to become who you are?
My grandmother, definitely.
Yeah,
Um, and I think if you'd have met her, you would have thought exactly the opposite. But I had the most amazing. She was a constant through my entire childhood. And, my mum remarried and I had a stepfather, and that was a very tumultuous relationship and a half brother. And I spent my whole life not knowing where I belonged because I didn't really belong anywhere. I was always the addition. I always wasn't a part of the set. I was when my dad came back and I suddenly discovered I had two sisters, and then I would have to go there and fit into their world and deny the other part of my work. Like you're always turning up, and that's a game where this people pleasing comes from, and this whole bit that you deny yourself. And the one person that I never had to do that with was my grandmother. Unfortunately, I lost her at 19, and after that my mental health spiraled for a good few years because I really didn't know where I belonged in the world anymore. And so I think, as a coach now, I always say that, every single human being needs to be seen, heard, listened to, and belong. And when I lost my grandmother, I probably lost at least three of those.
yeah,
Occasionally I was seen. And so, she was phenomenal. She instilled so much in me, and she did drive me and always reassured me that I'd be okay, essentially. She believed in me, but she never put massive expectations on me.
yeah,
She just believed in me. Like you say, she saw me, she believed in me, and whatever I did, I was the golden boy.
yeah.
And yeah, and I think she saw me, she saw the situation, and she knew that actually the only thing she could do is do that, see me and give me a place to belong, and she did. And I probably only got through my childhood because of it.
So let me ask you this: in the realm of podcasting, as a guest and a host, what was the first podcast that you got addicted to that you absolutely loved?
It's very political, and I flit an awful lot, but I am addicted to a podcast in the UK called Bold Politics, um, which is from the Green Party and is very much in left of center. I
Yeah,
mean, probably let's just say left. It's not even left of center. I don't know who I'm fooling. But yeah, and I think it's because it really does inspire hope in me, and it inspires hope in me in that we need to go in that full journey. I suppose I'm uncomfortable saying left because I wish we could just stop having to polarize things and
yes,
just decide that there's a better way of doing things. And that's why I love that podcast. It just talks about bringing back hope,
yeah,
and it talks about what's morally right and what we should be doing and humanity and all of those things. And where we don't measure someone by their wealth or their possessions, but we measure them by their well-being, their happiness, and their contribution. And I think as a coach, that drives me right now. And I hope that we can create a world where that gets to be seen. And right now in the world, it needs it more than ever. So I'm addicted. And sometimes I listen to the episodes twice.
I love it. I love it. So well said. So if you could have one person on your podcast, anybody on the planet, a dream guest, who'd you love to sit down and talk to?
Oh, that's so tough.
There's a lot of people.
Oh, there's a lot of people. There's a
It could
lot
be a
of
round table.
people.
We could round table it.
Oh, okay. Round table would be good,
Yeah,
right? Because I love to do stuff that's crazy and mix it up.
yeah,
Um, I would love to have Mel Robbins,
yeah,
who I admire for her plain speaking and the way that she just a bit, like a friend of mine says you're like a mini Mel Robbins, because I love that all of her stuff has come from a realization, or she's just, something's happened and she's gone, well, I need to know why that works. Like Let Them theory just came out of her just one day going, well, that was weird. And
Yeah.
then, it's like the high five challenge, the same, like those kind of things. So I'd love to pop her on the table. I would like the deputy co-leader of the Green Party in the United Kingdom. Um, and I'd like Dawn French, the
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think just those three would be
Yeah.
nice. Just those three.
I
Like we
like
have a
it.
bit of coach, a bit of politics, and someone to just make us laugh.
That's kind of what Bill Maher does. He tends to have these different sets of personalities, but we put it out in the universe, so we'll see what happens. So I'm curious with the work that you do. When you get into coaching, you got to get into the human mind. You have to peel into the psychology, and it can be murky and dark. How do you protect yourself to do a good job to help people? Because there's a lot on your shoulders to help them and to take care of your soul, your family, what you're doing. What's that energy holistically for you every day to do all of this at a high level?
So in my coaching practice, I work from something called the 9 principles of authentic living. And these are 9 principles. Magically, the letters spell authentic, but the final one is integrity. Not the final one, the second to last is integrity before compassion. And it's remembering to maintain your integrity, to know your truth, own your truth, stand in your truth, and never deviate from it. And in that, you will always turn up authentically. And the moment you're slightly out of alignment, which is what you're saying there, is if you shift too much, that's when you expose yourself, because integrity is about boundaries. Integrity is about saying, that's my boundary. When I talk to clients about it, I say, we hear boundaries and we think they're purely to keep people out. Now, some boundaries are to keep people out. Some boundaries are here. Okay. But some boundaries are here, and some boundaries actually have a gate, and you just choose who you let in and who you don't.
Yeah.
So being aware in integrity of your values and your core needs, because your core values are actually your needs. And so when you come out of alignment from those needs, that's when you run the risk of taking on board other stuff. I think the other thing as a coach is, when I take on any clients, I always say to them, I do not have the answers for you. I have the questions that will help you find the answers, but you have all the answers. I'm not here for accountability. I'm not here for that. I'm here to hold up a mirror and ask you questions that will allow you to find the answers you already know.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you ready to charge out into the world and change it. And you're your age now, and you walk into a room and there's a film projector and you click play and there's a 60-second highlight reel that comes up on the wall. Would you believe that your life turned out this way?
Um, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would. I would never have got through all of the things, you know, I had, you could say, in my 20s, after my grandmother, a really bad mental health crisis. I've had been homeless, I've lost businesses, I've risen like a phoenix every time. And I think, you know, I eternally held that belief that one day it would all come good. And I don't know, tomorrow it may all disappear again, but then that's just part of the journey. And
Yeah.
at some point it will reveal itself. But
Yes.
I think there's a lot of life where I have it on my wall in my study, which just says accept and adapt.
Yeah.
And it's that element of, the serenity prayer is, God grant me the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. And I never really understood that until I got the words accept and adapt, because I was like, well, I don't want to. But like, some things we have to accept, but it doesn't mean we can't do something differently. It
Yeah.
just means that we have to adapt. We can't change that situation. So we have to change us and move around it, essentially. So, yeah, I think I get up every day and I truly believe that at some point it'll all be magical. The universe is amazing. It's
Yes,
abundant. And if
yes.
you align yourself to its abundance, it does come to you and you get exactly what you need. It may not be what you want, but really, when you look at it, usually we have what we need if you allow yourself to stay in alignment and be grateful for what you have rather than ungrateful for what you don't.
I think somehow the laws of the universe always find a way of balancing things out between karma and what we call luck and what we call who you know and just all of the general moral compass that goes into our existence down here one way or another. We haven't gotten that in American politics yet, but we will eventually. Sometimes it takes a long time for that honey to come down the bark, but I think at the end of the day that's the thing that always reassures me about the journey, so to speak, is that one way or another there's a level of equilibrium that's way outside of any human laws or boundaries. It's this kind of universal magic, this cosmic dust that we all float through. And one way or another, it finds a way of balancing. The seesaw will find a way of libradically getting to where it needs to be.
I think, like you brought up brain science there, and my coaching friends, I have a lot of coaching friends. Quite a lot of them are leadership coaches, business coaches. They're very, very structured coaches. And they kind of joke and call me crystals and yoga. And I am a bit crystals and yoga, but I'm crystals and yoga meets science because there is science in it. So, what we're talking about there, like I do gratitudes every day. Now, the reason gratitudes work is in your brain, you have something called the reticular activating system. It's like how your brain focuses in like an Exocet missile. And when you plant a thought in that, it will take you towards it. It's almost like the satellite navigation system of your brain. So this is that. And the best example of it is things like, if you think you're going to go and buy a red car, you walk outside your house and the only thing you see that day is red cars.
Yep.
There are no more red cars on the road than before. You
Right.
are just noticing it.
Yeah.
So when you start your day with a gratitude, what you do is you tell your reticular activating system, today, I'm looking for things to be grateful for. And when you set them really low, like I'm grateful for how quickly the coffee machine produced my coffee this morning, you've set the bar really low for your brain. So it's much easier. Now, where you focus is where you end up.
Hmm.
When you put your sat nav, you don't say I want to go to, I'll use an English destination. You don't say I want to go to London, but put the address in for Brighton. You put the address in for London. So the same thing applies. As much as we think this stuff is mystic, it's actually not. And we have
Yeah.
the science to go with it now.
Yeah.
Is all you're doing is setting your satellite navigation. And so, there are points in my life where I have felt scarcity and everything starts to crumble. And it's one of the things that I avoid is a scarcity mindset, because the moment I feel like my life is lacking, guess what? I'm looking for everything that's lacking.
Yeah.
And then I will just see everything that's lagging.
Yeah.
And I love to play the smile game. It's a huge game that I play when I walk my dog. And I like to go out and I purposefully smile and say good morning to everyone because I like to see how many people. I keep a score.
Yeah.
But the thing is kindness is contagious.
Hmm.
And when you smile at someone without them actually knowing it, you give them a boost of oxytocin, which is the love and compassion chemical. And so I say to everybody, we all have the power to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as a smile to a stranger
Hmm.
every day.
Absolutely. So well said. So at the end of the day, let's get to the true crossroads of your soul. Everyone has a perception of you: family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone in every capacity. But you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm an overthinker perfectionist, so, so who drives themselves mad, who has now found a really equal balance. I used to, because that whole bit for me, there's a certain element of going through that messy midlife moment where the external you doesn't fit the internal you anymore. That it's like being a teenager again. It's like being born again, but this time, boy, have I got a skill set to go with it.
Yeah,
So it's really exciting. And to have had that pivotal moment and to have gone through the 9 principles and understood myself so well, I, yeah, I now laugh about those things.
yeah.
But I think interestingly, most people would say the same: perfectionist, OCD, but that's all that people pleasing. Again, it doesn't leave you. But now I just do it in different ways.
Absolutely. So, one more final hard question. If you can get into a time machine and go back in time and see one event in human history, what would you love to have witnessed with your own eyes?
I would love to have witnessed the building of the pyramids.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
building of the pyramids. And maybe just before the pyramids, when language was created and we as a species came into our own. And I truly believe that AI is like that moment in time.
wow, that's deep. That's very well said. So, if anybody wants to get involved with your coaching, they have questions, you have books in the hopper, all of the good work and the good business, where do they go?
Just go to my website, Authentic Coaching, all one word, .me.
Okay, that's easy enough. I will put all these links in the show notes. This has been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for taking a minute out. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I've absolutely loved it. It was a great way to end the day, and
Yes.
love that conversation. I can't wait to listen to it back.
Absolutely. And speaking of